Um, well, I would say the first, if I could just start at the beginning. So assessment, of course, is a huge driving force in our room. From the pre-assessment to formative assessment to, of course, the post-assessment. Based on the pre-assessment, though, I build experiences for learners in all areas, and then from those assessments, I can build the experience that they will follow with a pathway of their choosing. They are, right now, what we're doing is I'm sending them out via Google, and through the drive then they can create whatever it is that they want that helps them answer all of the experience, a piece of the experience. Sometimes with, for example, with writing and social studies, what we'll do is we'll have learners who have collaborated on a couple of things, and that way they can assess themselves. And that helps me because once we get to the end, all of it is digital because all of the assessment data that I take is digital. So when each learner sits down with me, I already have a digital portfolio from which I can choose pieces and ask them how that reflects what it is that they learned from that experience.
In my classroom, I use data to assess my students, and the way I do that is I set pre-assessments. They take the pre-assessments over the standards and the skills I'm going to be teaching in that unit. They get their pre-assessments, we discuss them, then they go to their journals, to their role, reader, writer notebooks, and they go to their mastery section, and based on their pre-assessment they make a goal for that standard, and it could be like I want to master rhetorical devices in my speech in the first attempt, or I want to master it on the fourth attempt with peer revision or with my teacher's help. They set their own goal, they kind of write them their own way. And then throughout, I teach, and throughout the learning process, we meet during feedback conferences where I sit down with them and we discuss their progress and how they're working toward their goal, and they track that data in their mastery section of their reader writer notebook. And we do this for every unit, and every skill has a pre-assessment that comes first. And then the final assessment, which is usually a project, we go back to our pre-assessment and to our mastery chart, and we look at how well we did, and then they kind of come up with their final evaluation.
Ongoing assessment is critical in the learning process at any stage of someone's education, and including adults. In the high school here at New Tech High, one of the things that I do is assess every day, either formatively or summatively, so that I know where learners are at any stage of the project process, and that means at any stage of their learning process. It might be as simple as a formative temperature or pulse of the class to see where everyone is. It might be a quick check-in to clarify any questions, or it might be something as formal as a summative assessment with a written test. Most often I do formative assessments, informal conversations, or structured activities in which learners can work in groups or work individually and then share out what they know based on collaboration, based on conversations. A lot of times they can self-adjust, and then I, as an educator, can go in and check to again clarify and adjust anything that might be a misconception early on. If one waits until the very end to give a test, that's not truly assessment, because if one hasn't gauged along the learning continuum, then a final test does nothing but demonstrate whether or not people cram some information in a brain for a multiple choice, which again doesn't assess what they've learned, only what they've memorized for a short term.